from the old coating. It was gel tip extensions. And most often it's easier for me to do a reapplication than a correction. Or at worst I'll do one correction and then reapply again because some nails can simply start to droop, which looks very unattractive, and spending time on lifting them, well, frankly no. Also, to save my time, I use clippers to remove the free edge and then do the removal at 30,000 revolutions per minute. This way I can remove it much faster. So let's do a manicure. For a clean manicure, as I've said many times, you need to open the pocket well. For this I use a pusher which has a spatula on one side and a hatchet on the other. We first open with the spatula and then pull out the pterygium with the hatchet, of course if it is there. If it's not, then don't torment your client. Since we have opened the pocket well, it will now be easier to work with the drill and it won't catch on anything. I use a variety of drills. For example, in the video you see quite a large drill. Of course, don't think that I could harm the client with such a drill. I use it firstly because of its insensitivity. That is, when I work with a thin bit, I go as deep as I don't want into the side sinuses. Because of this, unfortunately, clients may experience onycholysis. That's why I started using these larger bits that won't go where they shouldn't. But here, by the way, there are also some nuances to avoid overfiling the skin on the inner side of the fold. So we have worked everything with the drill, opened the pocket well with the pusher, and now the scissors will go smoothly. If you notice that the scissors are not working well, catching on something, or not going deep under the cuticle to trim it properly, then first pay attention to how you open that pocket. I know this firsthand because I was once a beginner technician too and didn't understand what the heck the problem was. Why couldn't I trim the cuticle cleanly? And the problem turned out to be minor. You just needed to open up the pocket well and lift the cuticle. So let's proceed to the extension, and we need to select tips. It should be a continuation of the natural nail. That is, it should emerge from the growth points as if it were the natural nail. And to not waste time and get distracted later, I immediately select all 10 pieces and arrange them on the table in order, so it's convenient to take them later. Next, we will need any rubber base you have, as long as it is not acid-free, because acid-free does not hold gel tips well. It is also desirable for it to be thick enough. First I paint the free edge, then I turn the gel tip over and paint towards the cuticle with a thin layer of base as well, and only then do I pick up the material on the brush and apply it with a U-shaped border. Next, to attach the tip evenly, I align it with the upper phalanx because it is the straightest part of the hand. More precisely, the upper phalanx is the straightest on the entire finger. If you attach the tip according to the lower phalanx or the nail itself, most often the gel tips will point in different directions. Then, after final polymerization, we apply top coat to the inner side of the nail so that nothing do not stick to the base. Our next action will be filing the edge so that nothing sticks out. I always file away excess material at the side walls and cuticle. And since we will be covering the nail with gel, we first need to make a base layer because the gel does not adhere to the tip. Because unfortunately there is not enough adhesion in the gel and it will simply peel off from the gel tip like from the upper form, and possibly this will not happen immediately, but after the client leaves you hit something and it will be a surprise for both you and the client. So first create a base layer from the gel and then I distribute a drop along the nail and use a thin brush to spread it to the side sinuses, but in such a way that there is almost no material at the side sinuses, and now I will explain why. If we apply more material, then we'll just end up with a lump, so make sure there is almost no material at the cuticle and side walls, and if you've applied quite a lot of material, either turn the nails over and gather it back together, or later file a couple of times at the side walls so that, again, I repeat, it doesn't become a lump. We continue to cover all the nails with a matte top coat to start that very trendy design. By the way, my top coat is from the brand Cerebro. It has no sticky layer, and look at the velvety effect we get. In principle, it could have been left as is, but the client wanted, so to speak, a little something extra. For this, I needed metallic paint. I painted patterns with a thin, not too thick layer so that the paint would dry well. And by the way, I used a thin brush that I trimmed myself. It's synthetic and costs literally pennies. You can buy any either on WB or in any nail store. The most important thing is that it is synthetic because I think the paint comes off better from it. Next, cover our non-polymerized paint with foam from any personal hygiene detergent. Polymerize thoroughly for at least 90 seconds. By the way, I first fixed the design with a flashlight, then I finished polymerizing it in the lamp because the foam keeps disappearing somewhere. And after full polymerization, I thoroughly wipe off all the liquid to finally cover the design with a top coat. Some say that this kind of paint doesn't need to be covered with a top coat. But I do say honestly, yes, I have never tried it, so I played it safe, to avoid having to meet with the client again unnecessarily. Not that I don't like her, but in the sense that she would have to travel from the other side of the city to fix my mistake. So I did cover the design with a top coat. Look at the result we got. A rather delicate design with a touch of flair. If you liked the idea, be sure to like, save,